the Two Joes podcast, trying something a little different today. We're trying Zoom to see if we can improve the audio a little bit and see how that goes. And maybe, just maybe, if I can find my dark sunglasses, maybe we'll add video.
Yeah, well, you got a fake beard kit you can throw in there, Joe?
I was thinking maybe a fake bushy mustache. Yeah.
Welcome, everybody, to Joe's podcast. We're grateful to have you with us. Like Main Joe said, we're trying out some new stuff tonight. Just going to see how it works, and no idea if this one's going to be published or not, but we're going to continue as we have for almost a year now. We're just going to chat back and forth, and it's in fact, do you remember the exact day of our inaugural cast? We practiced for like a month or two beforehand. Do you remember the exact day?
I don't. I could look it up, but I know that we were publishing practice podcasts in April. So officially, it's been a year since we've started practicing. And
yeah, and it's about one of the only things I've improved on. I'm not any better at guitar than I was a year ago, but it was the Sunday of Memorial Weekend a year ago, and remember we had Jelly Bean as our guest. I met her on the golf.
Yeah, that was our first published one. You think?
Yeah, that was our inaugural. That was the first one that we put out there, and we've been going blazing guns ever since. It's been a great ride, and once again, let me thank you for giving me a chance to get out of my house for an hour. I look forward to these so much.
My pleasure. I enjoy them too tremendously. Yeah. So much fun.
I'm looking forward. Oh man, I can't tell you how much I'm looking forward to our next in studio cast. Dude.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that we can get Becky on. When I saw your text saying Becky might make an appearance, remote or otherwise, I was pretty psyched because I think she'd be a very good guest to get back on.
Yeah, she's Thursday evening, so 2 nights from now. And but she's 7:30. Can you go as early as 7:30?
I'm going to do my best to make that happen because I really want to talk to her and see how she's doing.
Yeah. And see, she's in a school setting. She's a counselor. She's not a teacher, if I remember right. She's like a counselor, and she's working from home now. And I just wonder what that's like for her. I'm very curious to
Absolutely.
How are you interacting with your kids? What are some of the hang-ups? What are some of the advantages? I've got a lot of questions ready for her.
Well, and just you saying that popped some questions into my mind about, what about her organization that she works for when she goes out and helps people, are they still up and operational? Did they have to disband for the moment? What's going on there?
Yeah, with the Hearts Across America or something like this. I forget the name.
I wish I could remember the name, but I can't remember it either.
Yeah. I'm anxious to ask if she's still been doing some volunteer work. How's this pandemic affected? This isn't the sort of thing where you can just go and grab a chainsaw and some rubber gloves and go help out.
Yeah, not with a group of people anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. So, we always like to look for glimmers. I didn't really see any good glimmers of hope today. And it was pretty much the same doom and gloom. We're seeing some meat processing plants and some prisons that are just blowing up in number of cases right now, number of infections.
Yeah.
But New York did say they're still decreasing.
Yes, so there's your glimmer of hope right there.
Yeah. Let's go with that one for now. We're kind of in the doldrums right now, Main Joe, that we're just waiting for reports all across the world where cases are down, deaths are down, hospitalizations are down. We're waiting for that kind of news to come and hit us. And we just really haven't seen it yet.
Well, we've started, though. People are just getting a little impatient, I think, and it's understandable. It's totally understandable, especially if you're having trouble making ends meet and getting food on the table and paying rent and whatnot. Man, this seems like forever in that case. But, man, if there's any way you can keep isolating and stay home, I want to encourage it. But then you got the stupid governor of Georgia who was like one of the last to do a stay-at-home order because he just found out at the beginning of April.
Just found out that non-asymptomatic people can actually spread this thing. We just found out that yesterday.
Apparently, he crawled out from underneath a rock at the beginning of April.
Yeah, he crawled out from underneath Trump's ass.
And so, and now he's trying to open things up already again. So he's the last to close up and he's the first to open up. So it's going to be interesting to see George's numbers.
Yeah.
Once
and it's all the essential businesses he's opened up too, like bowling alleys and tattoo parlors and massage parlors and hair salons and things. When I see somebody out there holding up a sign saying, "Give me back my liberty, I want to go get a haircut," I think, is that your biggest concern? Really, is go getting your frosted tips? That's really that important to you?
Shake my
I guess.
head.
Yeah. It's, I don't know. These healthcare people, the ones giving us this advice, they're not doing it for a power grab. They're not doing it so they can lock the country down because it's a rush. They're doing it because that's what they were trained to do. Give us the best advice they can based on the evidence on the ground. And I don't know. It's
Yeah.
Go ahead, please, Major.
I was going to say we're trying to flatten that curve. We're trying to keep people safe. We're trying to, especially the people that are what's the word I'm looking for? The people that are at risk. So I was watching Brian Tyler Cohen. He had some protesters on there. I guess the protests spread to Denver, and they were up near the Capitol building. Did you see the nurse standing in front of that truck?
Yes, I did.
And that's, I'm just going to say it, that stupid lady who leaned out of the truck and threw up that sign on the windshield that said "Land Free." What
of the was very small in between those two. You didn't see that part? Yeah.
It looked like "Land Free" to me. And I'm like, okay, whatever.
Well, where's the free land? Man, I want some free lands. Yeah, I'll take some. Yeah.
And she was telling that nurse, go to China if you want communism. You know what he wants? He wants to save your stupid ass, and he wants you to stay home so he doesn't have to be overwhelmed and have 12, 30, 40 more people come in because you spread it all over hell.
Yeah.
Oh God, it just made me frustrated to see that. And then Trump gets up there and emboldens them, with his liberate Minnesota and shit. And then
Michigan.
Then he stands up there and says, "Oh, they were all 6 feet apart."
No, they weren't.
What are you talking about?
And he gets out there and supports them, even eggs them on, which contradicts the official statement from the White House that stay home, stay safe, do what you can to stop the spread. And then he goes out there and does this stuff. The man's just, he's a clown.
He's a clown.
He's a total clown. There's no leadership there at all.
None whatsoever.
And this nurse that was standing in front of that big Dodge Ram truck, he probably just finished a 16-hour shift. And he's got like 10 hours to sleep and eat and take a shower and stuff. He chooses to go out there and let these idiots know what idiots they are, Then
he doesn't appreciate it, his job is crazy tough right now, and they're not helping.
Oh, man. Crazy tough. I watched an interview on John Oliver. John Oliver did not conduct the interview. He showed footage of this interview. There's an EMT, one of the guys that rides in the back of an ambulance, who goes and, saves lives. And he said, the ambulance company that I work for, they're not all run by the county or by the state. A lot of them are private, like Gold Cross and what have you. It blew me away, Main Joe, that this guy said he does not have health insurance. He makes $16 an hour saving people's lives. He doesn't have health insurance. And he's dealing with people with COVID-19 and pneumonia and coughing fits and all these type. This blew me. He said, "Hey, I'm really grateful for all the free pizza I've been given over the past 3 weeks, but I would really like health insurance. I could sleep a lot better at night, especially since I'm in the frickin' healthcare field. It would be a good thing if I got health insurance."
I'm just trying to let that sink in for a second.
An
EMT ambulance driver, $16 an hour, no health insurance. Just let that sink in for a bit.
Yeah, just focus on that for a moment.
How sad is that in supposedly the greatest country in the world, on the planet, That's what this guy's looking at.
It's still going on. The wealthiest, most innovative, the best ingenuity. Did you see Brian Tyler Cohen today talking about, well, even if Biden does get elected, Medicare for all has no chance.
Oh, no.
No chance at all.
Well, he's already said he's going to veto it if it comes across his desk.
Yeah. And it was because of, excuse me, hiccup. There was like a $750,000 donation from what Brian Tyler Cohen referred to it as the healthcare mafia middleman. They donated $750,000 to the DNC, and so now they're not going to do anything.
No.
They're not just going to vote against bills. They're not going to advance any bills to make sure everybody's covered. Yeah. You and I have talked about this many times, Main Joe. How many families go bankrupt every year outside of a pandemic? How many families go bankrupt every year due to medical bills, even with Obamacare?
I believe it's 500,000.
That's correct. That's the numbers I've heard from many sources. I believe I can trust that number now. Mm-hmm. How many do you think it's going to be now with coronavirus?
And 22 million losing their jobs and their health care.
And their health care. And I remember the headline about the 17-year-old that got turned away because he had no insurance and ended up dying of COVID-19. Yep. You know, so it's, I don't know. I just sure hope that drastic changes are coming because of this. And I don't know. It's unprecedented times, exciting times. And here we are in our little man caves, riding it out.
Social distancing. And the weird thing is that where is this change going to come from? You know how I like to try and focus on the future. What are we going to learn from this? What are we going to change so if this happens again, when this happens again, we're more prepared. Hospitals are more prepared. Maybe we have a UBI in place. Maybe everybody has health insurance. Well, I was listening to Kyle Kalinske today. And again, he was talking about how Trump and his administration, and even another Republican, was they're out left flanking the Democrats.
Yeah.
Trump announced today that the Department of Education, the student loan payments were suspended for the next 6 months.
Yeah.
And then a Republican senator, Josh Hawley out of Missouri, proposed a Denmark-style plan where the U.S. government pays 80% of wages for workers at any U.S. business up to the national median wage until the emergency is over.
The Main Joe, those are incredible points you're raising. Incredible points. That would make me flip on a dime from anti-Republican to Republican on a dime. If they outflank the left on this issue coming into an election, I'm going to vote for Trump. I will.
Especially if they make it permanent, or if they make something like this, Denmark style plan ready to go for the next pandemic, or something like that.
Yeah.
If they're smart about it. I mean, right now they're probably going to nickel and dime us. Like they want no one to have a COVID-19 healthcare expense, but that's just for COVID-19. It's not like it's Medicare for all or anything.
Yeah. Well, and permanent too is the big thing there.
Yeah.
Like the National Health Service in Britain, it's got to be permanent. It has to be. And I'm sure they're overwhelmed right now also. Mm-hmm. But when this whole thing is over, and I mean really over, let's say we have a second wave in next October, November. When this thing is really over, there won't be one bankruptcy in Britain because somebody got the coronavirus. Mm-hmm. And there's going to be tens of thousands of them here. And who ends up really paying for bankruptcies and paying those medical bills? It comes out of the taxpayer. It's not Kaiser. It's not United Healthcare paying those things. The taxpayers always end up paying for this stuff. So, yeah. Let's hope some good comes out of this, eh?
Yeah, I'm hoping. The populist Trump will realize that he's got a lot of points he could get here if he can get some of this stuff through. Mm-hmm. And I thought Brian Tyler Cohen did a really good job of his assessment of these people protesting to go back to work. But the one thing he didn't really point out that I pointed out last podcast was if we could get a UBI and get some money in every month, I think that would encourage people to stay home and maybe not go out and protest quite so much. I saw this one comment. Now, I haven't verified this at all, but in Australia, they said everyone who is unemployed gets $2,200 a month, and everyone whose employer says they will keep them employed after the pandemic is over gets $3,000 a month. All homeless people are being housed in hotels, and Australia has Medicare for all. Australia has COVID-19 under control, and the curve is flattened.
Lots of things to say there. I'm not sure which topic to touch on first. Watching Fox News again today, because I'm fair and balanced, Main Joe. I don't know if you knew that. I am fair and balanced, and I know how important it is to know your enemy, to know what your enemy is saying, and grab evidence. And Fox News is my enemy. Today, I think it was Lou Dobbs or one of them saying in the same segment. It was like an 8-minute segment I watched, and they were talking about the bailouts of the corporations, and we got to keep the airlines afloat and the cruise ships and all this stuff. Then the Lou Dobbs, I believe it was Lou Dobbs, said it's not a good stimulus to the economy to just put $2,000 a month into the hands of every American over the age of 18. That's just not good stimulus there. The good stimulus is giving billions of dollars to these corporations who just got a tax break 2 years ago and spent it all on stock buybacks. And now they're a month away from bankruptcy. And yet the American citizen is supposed to keep 10 months of reserve cash on hand in case something like this happens. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, just give me an example of where that worked, and give this a chance. Give this a chance. Just see. Everyone else is doing it. And not, everyone can't be wrong. I don't know. I just like to see him give it a try, and let's see.
Give it a try.
See if we can keep people home. Keep them.
Yeah.
What's the word I'm looking for? Keep them
afloat.
Afloat in the green,
yeah.
and yeah.
Keep the economy moving. Really,
it's in the black, isn't it? It's in the black.
Black, yeah.
And if you're in the red, that's bad, right?
Red is underwater. Yeah,
that's
bad.
We don't want that. We want people to stay afloat. We want them to keep their head up, pay their rents, because not everyone's going to say, "Oh, the mayor said you didn't have to pay rent. That's cool with me." No, like Big T said the other day. What about those people that own the apartment buildings? They've got stuff to pay too.
They've got a mortgage. They've got utilities. They got property taxes. Yeah. So we hear those feel-good stories about some landlords out there, numerous. I don't know how many, but they sent out letters to all their tenants saying your rent is right now suspended until we get through this. And so those landlords, whether they be individuals or companies or whoever they are, they're taking a bullet, but they're doing it because they're capable of doing it. And they're being altruistic and compassionate. The young lady who came and helped me with my spring house cleaning on Saturday, she is also a landlord, owns a house down here in Murray, and has a roommate upstairs, and then rents out her separate basement apartment to a plumber. And she is in no position. She's not currently working. She came and helped me because she needed some cash, and I was happy to help her out. She cannot forgive rent, or she misses a house payment.
Right.
And then, big problems. So this is such a unique situation. It's an individualized situation where, some people can forgive some debts right now, and God bless them if they can. Some people simply cannot forgive some debts right now, or they go under,
Right.
And so it's
very nuanced.
Very much so. Very much so.
Yeah.
And and as much as I despise President Trump on countless fronts, I believe he's also been misrepresented, maybe on a couple of things. Please don't take this as a defense of Trump in any way. But if you're going to criticize, please get your facts in a row. Get your ducks in a row and get your facts on the ground. And it's I've seen a lot of that recently.
Yeah, and there's no need to bludgeon or to ask these trap questions. Ask them specific, straightforward questions, and then hold them to it. Don't let them dance his way around it, which is what they love to do. And just so that you know, I'm trying to watch a little more Fox News and see what they're putting out there.
It's tough, man. It makes your eyes bleed. It makes the corner of my eyes bleed
Yeah.
a little bit, you know.
But this one actually had Fox News in the corner, so I don't believe it was an opinion piece. I believe it was actual news they were attempting to do here, and it didn't sound like any of it was false. But what they were saying is Trump is temporarily suspending immigration
Mhm.
as a
60 days.
coronavirus precaution.
Yeah.
And he says he's doing it to keep American people safe, and he says he's doing it to protect American jobs.
Job. What does that mean? What the hell? We don't want any immigrants coming here to take the jobs that 22 million Americans just lost. What the? That's more division, more give us a target.
An authoritarian type move.
Yeah.
A la Mr. Small Mustache.
It's
you know, how long is this going to last? You said 60 days. See, I didn't hear that in this piece. I didn't hear the 60-day piece, but I'd be surprised if it was only 60 days. This is something he's been dying to do.
Yeah. And to protect jobs, though, that's the most absurd part of it all. Any thinking person who's above the age of 10 would realize there are no jobs to take. Are you kidding me?
We've got 22 million people unemployed, you know?
In 3 weeks, that's just unheard of, unprecedented. And man, that's where he bolsters his base and creates division among the rest of us. That's what he is so good at doing. Yep. He's a master politician on those fronts. I gotta hand it to him. He does it better than anybody in my lifetime, and I'm old.
Yeah, the other thing I find really interesting is how Trump keeps saying that testing should be on the state level. You know, it's not the federal government's job to take care of the testing or whatever. And so he's doing his best to not do much of anything to help the states with testing. And the states are saying, look, we need you to do this and this to help us with this testing. I just can't believe we're still trying to figure it out this late in the game. You know?
Yeah. Well, the numbers alone really got to say something. When was it that he said, oh, we've got 15 confirmed cases and that'll soon be down near zero? And what is it, a month and a half later, we lead the world. In fact, we don't just lead the world. We have more cases in America than the rest of the world combined. I think I saw that stat.
Oh, yeah, we're number one now. Yeah.
By far. But yeah. So the guy just doesn't. Well, I know that this is not the Bash Trump podcast. This is just Two Joes podcast. But
no, I just think it's interesting that he says, "Oh, it's a state thing," but then he pulls that Production Act thing out of his pocket again and says, "You, Mr. Company over there, you start making these test swabs." Mm-hmm. So he is helping. He's telling this company to make test swabs that they need for testing, but then it's a state steal. You know, he's like he can't make up his mind, or I don't know what he's doing. You know?
Yeah.
It's just like you say, no leadership.
No leadership at all. Zero. I've heard a couple of economists out there speaking where, opening up the economy in like Georgia and South Dakota, whatever states are doing it first, is going to have zero effect. If the people don't feel safe to go out to a movie theater or bowling alley, they're not going to go. If these places are open, it doesn't matter if they're open.
Yeah. I mentioned that last podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, you can open them up if you want, but that doesn't mean people are going to show up. Maybe a handful, maybe a trickle. I mean, maybe there'll be enough for you to justify being open, but there's a very good chance that there won't be enough because two-thirds of the people think we're opening up too fast if that's the case,
2/3, yes. 66%. I saw that stat today.
Which is pretty good, as far as stats go. We don't usually agree that much in this country on anything. So we're always a 50-50 split. And then you got the Georgia governor saying he's going to open these things like you were saying earlier, but the Atlanta mayor says she's encouraging people to continue to stay home because the number of cases are still increasing.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think people in Atlanta are gonna run out to the bowling alleys and stuff?
And the massage parlors and the hair salons, I don't think so. Some will, some.
I don't
You
think
know,
so either. It's going to be interesting to see what happens, and then to watch their numbers and see how those go.
well, unless the bowling alleys are going to charge like $600 a frame, I don't see how they're going to really make money. You know, they're not going to bounce back overnight.
Right. Well, they're going to spend all the money they make on disinfecting wipes. People sharing bowling balls or whatnot, you know.
Mm-hmm. And Gavin Newsom laid out a plan to reopen, but said this is how it's going to be. And he described your average meal in a restaurant, your favorite restaurant. There's going to be half of the tables closed down, and there's going to be distancing, and there's going to be wipes, and there's going to be all kinds of things going on. So don't think it's going to be like it's back to normal. It's going to be very different. And you might go to your favorite restaurant and get turned away because they're already at their capacity. Let's say 20 customers at one time, where usually they can handle 200. But you know that there's going to be such strict regulation on this stuff. This isn't coming back quick, Main Joe. All we can do is hope, like President Trump is hoping, that it isn't catastrophically bad as far as economy goes. I'm not even talking the effects of the pandemic. But when we do come back, let's hope it's not catastrophe.
Let's hope there's not another spike in the fall. Yeah.
Yeah, which I saw a couple headlines today. Some experts, people who certainly know more than you and me, are saying this thing could hit us again in the fall and be much worse than it was this time around. It could be a complete repeat of Spanish flu.
Or if we're prepared for it, we're sitting here talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
If we're ready for it, we have the testing nailed down, figured out, well supplied. Maybe we can flatten that curve. It's going to be the same drill, people. And why shouldn't we be ready for it? We should be ready for it.
Yeah.
We should prepare for it. President Trump, if you're listening to this podcast, and I know you are, then the best thing you could do to help us flatten the curve and make this all go the way you want it to go is help the states get the testing thing figured out quickly.
Yeah. In the absence of a treatment, of a vaccine or a cure, the only thing we have to rely on is solid testing, mass testing, knowing where these people are and who they've been in touch with. That's the only thing we've got aside from a cure.
That's how Korea did it. That's how they flattened their curve.
Yeah. I've read some of those same articles too. Yeah. So it's well, again, we use that word nebulous. Nobody knows. From the president down to Man U, nobody really knows what's going to be happening.
No.
I only know what I'm going to be doing, and that's what I've been doing for about a month now. Just sitting by my fireplace and you know.
Until I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm. No, go ahead, Mitchell.
I just cut you off there. I don't see myself doing anything differently until I really see that curve flattening, you know.
Yeah.
Even if businesses start opening up, I want to see, because right now we're up at the peak. We're just turned the corner. Until we're toward the bottom of that peak, I don't think I'm going anywhere.
Where we see, you know, there's only like a dozen new cases in New York every day, or Massachusetts or Washington.
Right. So right now, New York's kind of the benchmark, but the way I see it, I see that Utah is probably behind New York as far as that peak.
Yes.
Because New York was behind Italy. I think we're behind New York. So even when New York's numbers come down, I'll have to take a look at Utah's numbers at that point.
Yeah.
Where they're at.
You might have read to Joe's listeners. I don't know if you're familiar with KSL.com, but that's the news site I go to for local news anymore. And a number of experts said that Utah should expect its peak this week.
Oh.
So today's Tuesday. They're saying we should see a peak today or this week, and then start seeing it head the other way.
There's a glimmer of hope. I like.
There's another glimmer. Yeah, that is another glimmer.
I gotta start paying more attention to this local news. I've been meaning to log into the Salt Lake Trib to see what Pat Bagley's been drawing, but I haven't done it yet. I need to do that. Because you know what I do read pretty much every day. Do you remember when he was on our podcast?
Oh, yeah.
He mentioned this site called the Nib. NIB.
Vaguely. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's really, I signed up for their newsletter, so they send me comics almost every day, and they're really good.
Yeah.
They're really political. There's some of them are very funny. Some of them hit you right between the shoulder blades there, you know. Really good
Is it
stuff.
from one artist or a collection of artists?
Collection of artists. Yeah.
Very nice. Yeah.
It's really good. And like you said, it's kind of it's, you know, it's more than just one frame for a cartoon like Pat does. It's a series of frames. It tells more of a story. Some of them tell a long story. But yeah, it's really interesting. It's good stuff. So if you haven't checked it out yet, check out the Nib.
The Nib, N-I-B.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very good. I'm a big fan of Pat Bagley.
Me too.
I love the guy. Anxious. In fact, I've been thinking about seeing if he'd do a remote cast with us. He's probably stuck at home too.
Yeah.
I guess, you know.
And I'd like to get George on too again, see where
Sure, yeah.
it's about the political situation right now.
Oh, and our next guest, our next in-studio guest, I want to tell you about really quick.
Yeah.
And, maybe give a little preview to our audience here.
Teaser, yeah.
Yeah. A gentleman named Ron Malin, who is retired now, and he was my sister's boss with the TSA, which of course is under the Homeland Security Department. And he was stationed in South Africa for a while. And this man, we can ask him a lot of questions about airport and general travel security. When he retired, he was a federal employee. He was the federal director of safety for Utah, the Utah region. And so I wanted to give you a heads up and start doing some Wikipedia and research what kind of questions to ask a gentleman like this.
Cool.
And yeah, it sounds interesting. I'm especially anxious to pepper him about 9/11. And of course, how some things had to change, you know, just politically things had to change. But in his opinion, what was overboard in terms of security for flights and checkpoints and gates and things like that? With, you know, his opinion would be as expert as anybody on the planet. Was there anything overboard there? Oh, and my sister warned me too, me and Joe, that there are certain things we can't ask him because he has the same security clearance as our president does. And he's bumped elbows with governors and mayors, you know, all around the country and the world and everything. So we'll have to. Well, no, we do markers though. I let him know it's not live. That's the first question he asked me. Is this going out live? No, it's not. Okay. No, we can edit this. You know.
Can't afford to do that.
Yeah.
So we can't ask him about UFOs then?
Yes, I'm sure he can answer that because he doesn't know anything about it. That's a good point.
I love speculating about UFOs. We've got if you haven't heard, we have what do you call it? We're going through an asteroid field, the planet is, and so we got shooting stars out tonight. They say between like 12 and 4 in the morning is your best chance to see them.
Is it the Perseid?
It might be. They said it's regular. It's like Old Faithful of the falling star genre.
Yeah. You know, I love thinking about that kind of stuff. The asteroid that wiped out the dinosaurs 65 million years ago. The astronomers map all the, you know, the Oort cloud and everything, and the Earth. Well, no, not the Earth. Our solar system, our sun, and all the planets. It takes 200 million years to make one orbit around the center of our galaxy.
Right.
And so 65 million years ago, we were over here, and now today we're here, and they've mapped it out that we're suddenly finding ourselves in a pretty dense section of the galaxy where asteroid strikes can, you know, they can't predict it, of course, to the nth degree, but they can say we might see another, if not an asteroid that wipes out the dinosaurs, another Tunguska. You remember that name, Tunguska?
Sounds vaguely familiar.
1908, an asteroid exploded It didn't even hit the ground. It exploded over a remote region in Russia, and it flattened thousands of square miles of forest and wiped out animals, and it rattled windows and things like that. So
This was fairly recently?
1908. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I could have
That was
swore I saw some dash cam footage of some asteroid that came cruising across the sky in Russia.
Oh, those happen every year.
I wonder if I dreamed that or yeah.
No, that's quite common. In fact, that happens every day.
Really?
I've witnessed shooting stars. That's all they are.
That's all they are.
Little asteroids the size of coffee cans that are burning up through the atmosphere.
Right.
But you get one the size of a high school, then you could have some problems.
And some of them are extra dense, so they don't completely burn up, I imagine. I mean,
yeah. Our friend
this one was caught during the day on a dash cam camera, so it had to be pretty bright during the day, fairly good size. And I bet you it made it to the ground at that point.
Yeah. Our friend Dojo came over last night, and he and I just sat and practiced some guitar and caught up. And he showed me a rock. I have to call it a rock because I don't know what else to call it. But he said he was out mowing his lawn one day, and this is years ago. And he handed me this rock, and when I put it in my hand, it was heavy as could, and it was coal black, just dense black. It felt like I was holding up a rim of a car, but condensed down to the size of like a small cantaloupe. And he goes, I think this thing came from outer space. Wow. I think it hit down 1,000 years ago and worked its way up. And I was out mowing my lawn and almost ran over it. Huh. And he uses it to this day. He still has it as a doorstop up at his house. It's pretty cool.
Nice. Wow. Yeah. I don't see why not. Why couldn't it be a rock from outer space that didn't burn up? Yeah. Extra dense, extra heavy.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mojo, my main man, according to the rules of Zoom, because we do not have a subscription, we have about 3 minutes left according to my clock. Any final thoughts, words of wisdom, quotes you'd like to share?
Please, I'll be quick. 3 minutes is plenty of time for me to go pour another. And would you mind, after this is done, if you have time, my dear niece said that she'll be available at 10 p.m. Maybe we could try something with her. And
sure,
I've got some questions for her. So
I was going to ask. Yeah, I was going to ask you if you had talked to her, because I'd definitely like to see how her trip went and how everyone was feeling, how everyone's holding up. Yeah.
Well, I've got news there. Excuse me, hiccup. I texted with my sister to see if she wanted to join us on the cast tonight, just to get her impressions on her daughter and COVID and Trump and all that stuff, like we have anybody. And she refused my invitation, saying, I've got the worst headache I've ever had, and I'm in bed right now. And so I texted back, oh, Lord, do you think maybe you caught it from your daughter? And she didn't know she was carrying it. It was still active, but they couldn't find it, And she responded back, don't tell Kojo. Don't tell her that I'm feeling bad tonight.
Yeah. So, and I don't think a headache is part of it, but I could be wrong.
Well, I think fevers, aches, pains, nausea, the headache could certainly be part of it. Okay. It affects everybody differently.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So, all right. Do you have any last thoughts for us, my main man, my main Joe man?
My main thought is let's keep putting out there what we want to have happen. Let your senators, your people know you want UBI. You need some help if you need it, and let's put pressure on Trump to help the states with testing, because if we're not testing now, then we better be prepared to test later, because this thing will flare up again.
It will come back. Well, we don't know that for sure. I mean, SARS disappeared, like Dr. Fauci said. SARS just magically disappeared in the course of like 5 days. That might happen here, or this might be a Spanish flu.
However, if we have an over surplus of swabs, I think we can probably deal with that. And it will happen again at some point. I mean, they haven't closed the wet markets, although Fauci thinks they should just shut them down. I was thinking just regulate them, but he's saying shut them down.
Yeah. Well, and we must have plenty of swabs because I saw President Trump pull one out of his coat pocket and show off the long one and the short one and the.
Oh, you want me to open it? You want me to open
Yeah,
it?
yeah, okay, I'll open it then. I'll open it. Yeah, look at this. And this is a swab. This one's a Q-tip. This is a Q-tip.
Oh man! All right, I think they just shut us off. So till next time, everyone. Thanks for joining us on the Two Joes podcast.
And we'll see you again. Thank you again for joining us.